Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar for Power a Clean Future Ohio. Today, we're going to be exploring with the Institute for Market Transformation an incredible opportunity for your city to think about energy efficiency in a new way. This toolkit will be the Affordable Housing Energy Efficiency Toolkit that your community can utilize to ensure that residents in your city, in your county, and in your township have the opportunity to engage with their landlords, engage with their tenants about how they can improve the efficiency of their homes. I'm excited to introduce our speaker today and hand it over to her here in a moment. But I want to briefly introduce you all to Power a Clean Future Ohio, which was launched a year and a half ago to help cities, local governments all across the state of Ohio to embrace clean energy policy and reduce emissions in their community. There's a variety of ways in which you can do that. One of those ways is what we're doing today, which is engaging with our digital platforms through webinars and other engagements to learn about clean energy policy. But your community can also take advantage of our Clean Energy Toolkit and work directly with some of our technical experts to explore ways in which your city can pass renewable energy resolutions, ordinances, and launch new programs to help your businesses, help your residents, and improve the efficiency and clean energy portfolio for your local government. So with that, I won't delay us any further. I'll hand the mic over to Adi Benny with Institute for Market Transformation to talk you through our Affordable Housing Energy Efficiency Toolkit. So take it away, Adi.
Thank you very much, Joe, and thank you for having me. So today we're going to go over this toolkit, but essentially how to utilize and customize this toolkit. So again, my name is Adi Benny. I'm the Associate Director at the Institute for Market Transformation. We're an organization laser focused on decarbonizing buildings across the United States, but with a lens of how we can do this in an equitable way, but also it can be scaled throughout all buildings. Today's agenda, we have 4 areas that we're going to go through, why we're focusing on affordable housing, how this toolkit can be utilized, how this toolkit was actually established through a case study, and also how to get started. Nonprofit research from the American Council for Energy Efficiency Economy established that most U.S. multifamily properties can increase efficiency by 15 to 30% through strategies that include energy management, like sealing windows and doors and switching to LED light bulbs, and especially educating tenants on efficient and energy savings. The percentage of a person's income devoted to energy bills is higher for communities of color and for those with lower incomes. And so as we're thinking about this, IMT's approach to addressing building inefficiency is a collection of education, process integration, identifying financing options, and recognizing building owners and operators who are able to integrate this into practice. So I'm going to go over 6 sections of this particular toolkit and what is in it. The first step to driving change is by educating and empowering the building owners and operators on how to improve their buildings and how to integrate efficiency into practice. We provide recommendations in a few different ways, one of which is to establish guidelines requiring any person responsible for managing a lease transaction to complete at least 1 hour or something similar of a training that covers fundamentals of energy efficiency and benchmarking in buildings. It also includes defining how energy and water efficiency is viewed in operations and how this benefits tenants, develop a system for ongoing education to keep owners and employees informed of the latest technology, system updates, tools and resources available to them. And this toolkit also provides resources and sample tenant rules that can be easily adapted by the building owners instead of reinventing a new document. This is also a section where a city or jurisdiction or an association can integrate specific tools that have already been developed. Tenant engagement. This is incredibly important as well. While energy and water efficiency can benefit both the landlord and the tenant, to achieve this for both parties, it is absolutely critical for a landlord to be able to communicate these benefits to tenants. Doing so not only can increase tenant benefits, lowering monthly utility bills, but can also encourage the accountability, which can lead to a more efficient building overall. And unlike commercial leases, residential lease agreements cannot include what's called a cost recovery clause, which allows amortization and recovery of costs from efficiency upgrades, because these are short-term leases. However, the landlord can implement efficiency upgrades when units are vacant between residents. And this is called a resident turnover in multifamily. And this provides an opportunity to improve energy efficiency in apartment units through cost-effective measures that can directly benefit the resident upon move-in and ultimately receive reduced utility bills and indirect benefits. The landlord can gain from that by reducing maintenance calls and also reducing whole building energy use and improve affordability for the residents. Implementing energy best management practices in base building systems and common areas ensures consistent operations throughout the life cycle of the building. Examples of energy management best practices can include recommendations such as thermostat setback recommendations, ongoing maintenance, energy management base building tune-ups. The toolkit has a variety of examples of what an energy management best practice could be. Financing. This is incredibly important and by far one of the most challenging and common barriers landlords face between operating within thin margins, as well as restrictions on taking on additional loans. Investing in energy efficiency can improve but also can be challenging. But when cities and utilities provide programs and grants and incentives bundled with education on how to gain access to financing and sustain efficiency, this will spur action that will have lasting effects. In addition to federal funding, cities can promote local incentives, which building owners may qualify for before undertaking major building systems or capital project improvements. In traditional leases, neither the landlord nor the tenant is incentivized to invest in energy efficiency improvements that can lead to high-performing properties that benefit both parties. However, green leases, also known as energy-aligned leases, can help break down those barriers. Green leasing prioritizes solutions that will improve buildings, performance via lease language, as well as operational changes, which can incorporate efficiency. Green leasing has actually been around for quite some time. And this toolkit actually follows the recommendations through a program called the Green Lease Leaders Program. These actions that have been utilized by other landlords and tenants have been recognized by this program, which was launched in 2014 in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Energy, Better Buildings, and the Institute for Market Transformation. This is a national program which sets the standard for what constitutes as a green lease and recognizes cross sections of landlords and tenants for creating and implementing those leases into practice. This past year, we recognized over 2 billion square feet of lease space under this program, and that incorporated a diverse range of buildings from large and small, commercial office, industrial, data centers, as well as multifamily and including affordable housing. Green Lease Leaders recognition helps build that culture because others will act when they see peers doing it. Peer-to-peer promotion promotion of success in communities can build interest by highlighting how one of their neighbors or peers was able to save money, reduce energy, and much more. Propping up success, celebrating achievements in the local community, that's important, and it supports the local actions. And communities benefit from promoting these type of practices because it is an established program that pulls from national best practices. We're not reinventing the wheel here. And it also gives landlords proven actions they can take, and it can also reduce the burden from city staff to manage an education program or becoming an expert in green leasing. We could really leverage the resources from the Green Lease Leaders program locally. So the next couple of slides, I'm going to share with you how this toolkit came about, which was a collaboration and a case study in support of energy efficiency in multifamily buildings in Cincinnati. So ranked with the 8th highest energy burden for low-income residents, Cincinnati set out to assist tenants and building owners to incentivize energy efficiency action. On the building owner side, Cincinnati new building owners may not always have the case for financial ability to invest in efficiency upgrades due to slim margins or the split incentive issue. But to support efficiency upgrades, Cincinnati offered a one-time matching grant up to $5,000 to support upgrades that would reduce tenant utility bills. These upgrades included insulation, furnace upgrades, or window replacements. While the grants support an upgrade to the building, it did not cover the how the building owner and its operators could advance other efficiency measures. So it was missing the educational component to the grant. So to support that action, Cincinnati called upon the Institute for Market Transformation, IMT, to understand how an education program could support the efficiency actions beyond the upgrade partially funded by the grant. And so IMT found that while the building owners were interested in taking action to improve their properties, the efficiency, they often didn't know where to begin. And this is a really big challenge. So in addition to the grant, the recipients were generally small organizations that did not have the capacity to hire an expert to point them in the right direction. So with limited resources, Cincinnati took 3 actions. Number 1 was incorporate the toolkit and the Green Lease Leaders recognition program into the grant program. The second was add localized funding and context to the resource. And the third was during the grant cycle, Cincinnati gave a 10-minute, brief introduction to the toolkit and the experts at the Green Lease Leaders program. This was important because the building owners then had that one-on-one guidance from an expert to feel confident in taking action and asking questions. Then after the city introduced the toolkit and the Green Lease Leaders program, the owners were given the opportunity to seek support through the Green Lease Leaders program as well as IMT. And this support included providing 15 minutes online assessment, an online assessment tool so they could take it on their own, which asked some best practice questions about their leasing practices and operations. After the assessment, IMT and the Green Lease Leaders team provided one-on-one assistance via a call and answered any questions and provided resources as well as the toolkit. And the last thing that they received was they were given an action plan and how to utilize the toolkit and other steps that they can take beyond the grant funding. And so 5 building owners took action. And in their properties, as a result of the engagement, 1 participant, which was Prospect Capital, incorporated all of the recommendations in the toolkit, which align with the Green Lease Leaders program and recognition, and they qualified for recognition in May of 2021. And Cincinnati was able to meet its educational goals with minimal investment and those 3 simple actions that I mentioned. The city deployed materials already created under the Green Lease Leaders program. And this process required minimal ongoing investment from the city as the Green Lease Leaders program continues to manage and update those resources and materials, which includes the toolkits, the best practices, and the recognition program. And just to read one quote from one of the participants, Joel Barlett, as a new landlord and homeowner, energy efficiency seems daunting and complicated. Being able to quickly identify and address areas for improvement helps me manage and minimize the environmental impact of my property. These resources helped me meet my goals and communicate these goals to my team in a way that saves us time and money. So this toolkit is a source of expertise and action for multifamily housing and can be easily integrated into current local programs. For instance, if you have an education program, this can be added to it. If you have a green business program or challenge, which some cities may have, this is a way to integrate these type of actions into those programs. If you have or are looking to develop a grant, require the toolkit review and Green Lease Leaders action as part of the grant requirements. And then IMT can provide how to integrate the toolkit and add language to your grant proposal. To ensure that the resources get into the hands of your multifamily building owners, make a plan to distribute the toolkit, add it to current resources and campaigns, to the climate action campaigns, make an official connection with the grantees, recipients, and the Green Lease Leaders program. And additionally, if you are a PCFO city, IMT can provide a list of affordable housing buildings to reach out to. And also recognize the individual's accomplishments. And again, this is where the Green Lease Leaders program can help. And if an association is interested in taking on this toolkit, you can share this with members, host webinars to present on how to utilize the toolkit, work with the local jurisdictions to push the funds and the grants to support the building owners, and recognize members that utilize the toolkit and take action. And with that, there are additional resources with a wealth of information that can be accessed through imt.org or greenleaseleaders.com. If you want direct assistance with this toolkit, you can contact either Tara Brown or myself. And with that, I can open it up to any questions.
Hey, Adi, thank you for that great presentation. I want to start us off. I know the team here has a few questions for you on the items you just presented on. But I'm curious if you could speak to why aren't affordable housing owners already doing this work that you just outlined?
Well, owners can vary. It could be like Joel, for example, it was his first time being an affordable housing owner, a landlord. And so he didn't really know where to begin. There was already a lot on his plate on how to manage a new building, and he didn't have that much time to research what was out there. So part of it is the educational gap, the time gap, and knowing where to even look for this type of information.
Hi, Audi. Thanks again for that presentation. That was great. Another follow-up question. Thank you for highlighting the best practices. It seems like there's 6 or more that building owners can look at. Have you found that building owners generally feel like this is overwhelming, and how have you helped to work with them to figure out which best practices to pursue first?
So part of the initial conversation when we have that one-on-one, try to understand where they're at, what are their challenges. Then it becomes very easy to say, okay, we'll start here. There are a few steps here that you can evaluate. The toolkit also has downloadable resources. So instead of reinventing a checklist or something like that, we can easily say, review this checklist, start in these 2 or 3 steps, and then work your way through the other steps. And that's just enough to get them started.
Adi, thanks for your presentation. I was just kind of wondering, so if I am an elected official or a staff member and don't really know a whole lot about energy efficiency for multifamily units, how can PCFO help to kind of bring my knowledge up to speed and really start learning more about green lease leaders in the toolkit?
That's where we come in. We are your technical advisor. So really leverage IMT and the Green Lease Leaders resources. We can provide a brief presentation for your staff, or we can be that contact, the bridge between the audience that you're trying to reach, and be in the background, provide that technical assistance as needed.
And I have a question as well, Adi. Thank you again for this presentation. So if I spoke to a building owner and they were already doing this work, what would you recommend as kind of next steps for them?
I would say let's highlight their efforts. We can walk them through the assessment through the Green Lease Leaders program to identify exactly what they've been doing, and we can foster that and get them across the finish line and get them recognition if they want to. And write a case study about it, or a blurb about their efforts, and promote them as a leader in their community.
Well, thank you, Adi, and thank you for the entire team at the Institute for Market Transformation. We've come to the close of our webinar time. Adi, I don't know if there's any closing words that you want to depart to folks that are able to tune in for this before we wrap up.
Just that the toolkit is customizable. We would be happy to work with any jurisdiction or organization that would like to take on this toolkit and customize it. And then, like I said, provide any technical assistance as is needed.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the entire team at IMT and Adi for presenting this really informative and helpful webinar. This issue really meets at the priorities that Power Clean Future Ohio is working in. Local action, working with the community, addressing environmental, energy inequities that we know are ever present in our communities. So really excited to have this partnership with you all and help serve PCFO communities. If your community would like to pursue this work, would like to work directly with the experts at the Institute for Market Transformation, please reach out directly to them. Feel free to reach out to me as well, and I can be sure to connect you. My email address is joe@powercleanfuture.org. If you want to learn more about PCFO and the resources we have available, including our Ohio Sustainable Communities and Clean Energy Toolkit, please visit powercleanfuture.org. It's under our resources section. There's also a number of other opportunities, beyond just this work with energy efficiency. If you're interested in pursuing solutions related to transportation electrification, renewable energy, or land use as well, those are areas where we can provide great expertise and recommendations on what your city can do to make a real difference in your clean energy portfolio and reduce your emissions. So thank you again for everyone who's able to tune in for this webinar. We look forward to working together further, and thank you to the Institute for Market Transformation again for your great presentation.